This is QTV Nightly News coming to you live from our studios on Kaiba Avenue, and I am Jenna Bosonko. Thanks for joining us here at the main news headlines. As they reported to President Barrow, the Commission on State-Owned Enterprises has recommended to reduce the salaries of National Water and Electricity Company NAWEC staff by 5% for not meeting their key performance indicators targets for 2021-2022. Gambian pilgrims on Thursday performed the Hajj Tawaf in Mecca, marking the end of the 2024 Hajj in Saudi Arabia. 30 members of the Gambia's National Assembly and support staff completed a study tour in Cairo, Egypt to learn about various perspectives of FGM. The Ministry of Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology held a day-long stakeholder engagement on Thursday for the recently launched Skills, Innovation and Entrepreneurship Fund Manual. And in international news, June 20th marks the UN-designated World Refugee Day, dedicated to honoring individuals forced to flee their homelands due to persecution or public unrest. Those were the main headlines, and now the news in detail. Do stay. I am Jenna Bosonko. This is QTV News, and thank you for joining us. The Commission on State-Owned Enterprises has recommended to reduce the salaries of the National Water and Electricity Company NAWEC staff by 5% for not meeting their key performance indicators targets for 2021-2022. This decision was disclosed to President Barrow during a courtesy visit by the Commission to update him on the Commission's report on NAWEC. NAWEC's board members were also in attendance at the State House in Banjul. The Commission on the State-Owned Enterprises presented the results of their assessment of NAWEC's performance for 2021-2022, which included NAWEC's financial, technical, operational and management performance. The report revealed that NAWEC achieved only 30% and 20% of the targets set for its key performance indicators in 2021 and 2022. 2017 was used as a baseline for the key performance indicators for the report. The Commission recommended to reduce the salaries of National Water and Electricity Company NAWEC staff by 5% for not meeting their key performance indicators. Here is Baimadi Sise, Executive Secretary of the Commission.
The Executive wanted to be briefed fully on the basis of the decision, the information we used to arrive at the decision, and now giving an opportunity to also argue against the decision or for the decision as they deemed appropriate, which they did, and the President in his wisdom made a final decision that he has now advised the Commission to implement.
Despite increased electricity access, there is an electricity crisis in the Gambia with dilapidated equipment and demand highly greater than the capacity of the National Water and Electricity Company NAWEC. Although the NAWEC officials argued that using 2017 as a baseline for assessment was not fair because NAWEC did not have audited accounts for that year and faced difficulty in transitioning, NAWEC's newly appointed Managing Director, Gallo Sedi, says he accepts the recommendations of the Commission and together with his senior management team will devise strategic policies to improve.
Accountable for what we are asked to do. So it's our responsibility to now make sure that those measures that are put in place, we try and make sure that we meet those targets. But one thing I just want to make clear is performance measures need to be realistic. They need to be smart. And as long as they are smart and they are measured, it is appropriate for us to be held accountable. And this is a very good signal.
The government of the Gambia, through the Ministry of Finance, created the State-Owned Enterprise Commission, comprising 6 commissioners tasked to unlock the hidden potentials and resources in state-owned enterprises. Through the Commission, there will be a promotion of socio-economic development and the welfare of all citizens. The Finance Minister, C.D. Keita, commends the work of the Commission.
It's not only business as usual. Going forward, all the parties to the SOE contract will be reviewed by the SOE Commission, which is an independent commission. They work independently of the executive. They are a highly qualified team, and their report is taken as such. There has been no interference in their work, and in the wisdom of His Excellency, we are very pleased that he is entrenching the reform agenda of the SOE.
President Adama Barrow, who accepted the recommendations and supported full implementation of the report, also commends the work of the SOE Commission, which is a key part of the Barrow administration's public sector reform agenda. Reporting for QTV News, I am Jenna Bosonko. Gambian pilgrims on Thursday performed Hajj Tawaf in Makkah, marking the end of the 2024 Hajj in Saudi Arabia. Babakar Sise is with 2 Hour Travel on Tours and he fastens this report.
Tawaful Ifada, the last formal rite of Hajj, comes after the third day of the symbolic stoning of the devil at the Jamarat in Minna. After this, pilgrims had to walk 10 kilometers to return to Makkah to perform Tawaful Ifada. During this Tawaf, pilgrims can wear any regular clothing instead of the white ihram while going around the Kaaba 7 times.
وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد رسول الباقي الرشيد ويا صبور يا ربنا يا الله بالسر آثل أسامي سلين على سيدنا حامد محمود بسم الله الله أكبر.
After Tawaf, pilgrims pray 2 rakas behind Maqam Ibrahim, a stone placed in a glass dome covered by a golden cage which has the footprints of Prophet Ibrahim, who built the Kaaba. Pilgrims then move to Safa and Marwa and walk and run between the 2 hills 7 times, replicating the footsteps of Prophet Ibrahim's wife Hajara, who ran between the 2 hills searching for water.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar kabira.
Hajj has officially come to an end in Makkah, Saudi Arabia. Gambian pilgrims will start returning to the Gambia in the coming weeks. Before they leave, there is one more tawaf to be performed by pilgrims. It is called Tawaful Wada, a way of saying farewell, bye-bye, or a valediction to the Kaaba. Once done, the pilgrim never goes back to the Kaaba on this Hajj. Babakar Sise, QTV News, Makkah, Saudi Arabia.
Wishing all pilgrims a successful journey back home. Now, 30 members of the Gambia's National Assembly and support staff completed a study tour in Cairo, Egypt, to learn about various perspectives of FGM, Egypt's FGM journey, lessons learned, FGM and Islam's, amongst other matters. This visit is part of consultations of the committee in relation to the Women's Amendment Bill, which seeks to lift the ban on FGM. Lena Igwiniba has the rest of that story.
Supported by the World Bank, the UNFPA-UNICEF Joint Programme on FGM, the CSO Coalition on FGM and Safe Hands for Girls, the 2-day meeting held at Al-Azhar University in Egypt brought together scholars, doctors, religious leaders, legal professionals, advocates and parliamentarians. They responded to questions and concerns from the National Assembly members to guide their committee report, which will be presented in the plenary. Jahad Dukure, founder of Safe Hands for Girls, highlighted the reason Egypt was chosen.
Egypt happens to be the only Muslim majority country that has medicalized the practice of FGM and then went ahead and criminalized both medicalization as well as the practice of FGM in general.
Dr. Maya Morsi, president of Egypt's National Council for Women, and Amira Sabah El Sayed Mohammed, a member of the People's Assembly of Egypt, both expressed their strong disagreement with the practice of FGM and urged Gambia not to repeal the law, citing the bad reputation the country would get for being the first African nation to repeal an FGM law.
Saudi Arabia has 0 women, the biggest Muslim country, the place where Islam started. So if people are saying this is a practice of Islam, we're telling them, ask Saudis. So the answer is, it is not related to Islam. It's a traditional practice, and we add beside it, it's a harmful traditional practice.
What has been achieved in 2015 in the parliament should be achieved one more time with an intensified message that you do resist this, because I don't really think that it would be anything good for the nation of Gambia to be labeled as the first ever nation in the world that retracts back in this very kind of righteous issue.
Honorable Amadou Kamara, chairperson of the Joint Committee on Gender and Health, and Honorable Gibi Mbalo, National Assembly member for Lower Fuladu West, explained the importance of this convergence for enriching the existing efforts and findings of the various committee reports, ultimately leading to an informed decision for Gambian women.
We are here for the same cause, and the cause is justified. More knowledge or more experience, so that we can have a common say when we are presenting our report. We are going to present on facts that we find out throughout our investigation, both in country and out country.
Before coming to Egypt, we have involved a lot of stakeholders, from the CSOs, from the religious leaders, from experts, from NGOs, and then we also review literatures about it. We intend to lay this report on the 4th of July, and then there would be a consideration hopefully in the 16th of July, where members will make a final decision on either to repeal the law or to allow the law to stand.
Benchmarking visits are a standard parliamentary practice, as they allow legislators to study and observe how other countries address specific issues, gaining valuable insights and ideas that can be adapted to their own legislative and policy frameworks. This study tour is expected to foster cooperation and knowledge exchange, ultimately contributing to more effective and informed policy making on the Women's Amendment Bill of 2015. Reporting for QTV News, I am Lena E. Igwenyiba.
From that story by Lena E. Igwenyiba, we'll now go for a short commercial break, and when we come back, we have local and international news stories to stay with us.
The future is now with QCell's 5G network. Experience speeds like never before with our new 5G Rocket Fixed Internet plan. Get speeds from 10 Mbps to 100 Mbps. Your 5G-enabled devices. Walk into QCell headquarters to get one of our 5G routers and experience the true feeling of 5G. Only with QCell. QCell brings you the future. Tech, innovation, incredible speed. The future is now. For more information, call our customer care on 111. QCell, Sunyabus. We innovate, others follow. Terms and conditions apply.
Get a QCell SIM card for free. Yes, absolutely free. Walk into any of our customer care centers and get a SIM free of charge. With a QCell SIM card, you can get the fastest and the most reliable internet plus wide range of amazing services. So rush now to any of our care centers and get a free SIM now. For more information, call our customer care on 111. QCell Sunyabus. We innovate, others follow. Terms and conditions apply.
The Skills, Innovation and Entrepreneurship Fund
Welcome back from that short break. If you're just tuning in, you're watching QTV News and I am Jennifer Sonko. Now, still on local news, the Ministry of Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology held a day-long consultation and engagement on Thursday for the recently launched Skills, Innovation and Entrepreneurship Fund Manual, jointly developed with the World Bank, and the scheme intends to provide support for young people through well-coordinated skills acquisition programs. And Sumana Isonyasi was there, and this is his report.
The Skills, Innovation and Entrepreneurship Fund seeks to enhance access to gainful employment and to promote self-employment through quality vocational training for young people in the Gambia, particularly high school graduates. It also aims to provide guidance for young people interested in entrepreneurship. And as they gather to review this scheme, stakeholders share their experiences and proffer suggestions to support the successful implementation of the program. Addressing stakeholders, Dr. Mustafa Toure, Permanent Secretary at the Ministry of Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology, highlights challenges impacting TVET and how the ministry, with the support of stakeholders, can leverage on the opportunities presented by technology to complement the national TVET drive.
Students would graduate and they cannot fit adequately, in the labor market. What is the evidence of this? The numerous training institutions out there, that will continue to give on-the-job training, to workers. Some of these on-the-job trainings would not be necessary if the institutions, have done the right thing.
Furthermore, he spoke of the need to improve the relevance and quality of TVET in the Gambia and called on stakeholders to take ownership of the SIE fund by ensuring its successful implementation.
We have a lot of entrepreneurship programs, in the Gambia and elsewhere. The nature and manner these programs are done, I would not say, are not right. We have a lot of entrepreneurs out there, from these programs. So in a way, they have succeeded. But here we want to focus entrepreneurship around, the curriculum, what you are teaching, in the classroom. At any level, what aspect of the entrepreneurship, should come into play, so that this particular student in your classroom, while you are teaching him, he would also be contemplating.
Dr. Toure's remarks were followed by a presentation of the fund by Samba Sow, Director of Science, Technology and Innovation at MOHAS. During his presentation, Mr. Sow highlights, among other things, the application process for interested candidates and how the program is expected to impact the lives of beneficiaries, as well as efforts to curb youth unemployment in the country.
We've mentioned here the issue of women groups, youth groups, and also if we are going to align to NACA standards, the Sector Skills Councils comes into play. So here a window of opening has been created to ensure that the steering committee can include any other member depending on what window is going to be examined or reviewed for application.
The inadequate skills, lack of experience and a mismatch between education and training remains a major contributing factor to youth unemployment in the Gambia. Hence, the importance of such a fund that seeks to provide young people with the requisite skills for the job market and to create opportunities for self-employment through well-coordinated formal skills training. Answane Sonyasi for QTV News.
The 79th ordinary session of the African Commission on Human and People's Rights wrapped up in Banjul recently. Jordan Jai has the rest of that.
The convention in Banjul brought together dignitaries and stakeholders from across Africa to discuss the sustainability of human rights advocacy. The session unveiled a crucial theme, namely educating an African fit for human rights. Abiola Idowu Ojo, Executive Secretary of the African Commission on Human and People's Rights, highlights some matters contained in the final communique.
Two special mechanisms of the Commission have been mandated to develop this study. It is the special mechanism dealing with economic, social and cultural rights, because corruption affects the availability of resources to be able to fulfill these rights on the African continent. And also the Commission has mandated the working group on extractive industries, human rights and the environment. Why? Because extractive industries deal with our natural resources, our mines, our oil and gas deposits, and all other kinds of natural resource deposits that we have on the continent, which if we do not harness from a human rights-based perspective and in a way that is people-centered, we will not be able to have the benefits. And corruption is a major challenge preventing our countries from maximizing the potentials of the natural resources that we have on the continent.
On the human rights promotion and protection, the Commission's Executive Secretary says the continent still has a long way to go.
We have some states that are still not reporting because, for instance, Article 62 of the Charter requires states every 2 years to present a report to the Commission on how they are faring in terms of promoting and protecting the rights of their people, so that when these reports are considered, the Commission is able to give recommendations on how we can better strengthen human rights protection in those countries. Implementation of decisions is also a challenge because it's not enough for the Commission to issue recommendations or advice or opinions. The states must be ready to comply so that we can give effect and make sure that the people who are affected by these human rights issues actually get remedies, or at least to make sure that these human rights are realized for these people.
Honorable Janet Ramatulai Salanjai, Vice Chairperson of the African Commission on Human and People's Rights, highlights some of the concerns raised regarding women's rights violations in Africa.
Countries that are in conflict, we find that it's the most vulnerable who suffer, and invariably the most vulnerable are women. You have issues of abduction of women in countries where you have insurgencies. Women are actually targeted directly. You have countries where you have civil strife. Women are violated, sexual and reproductive rights are violated. Women are abducted. They are used as weapons of war that directly targeted.
Madam Salanjai, who also serves as a special rapporteur on the rights of women in Africa, further elaborates on the women's rights violations in the continent.
We focus on Sudan. We also focus on femicide in places like Kenya, which is on the increase. And we mentioned that, and we've actually expressed concern on that with regard to the state of Kenya. Also on the issue of female genital mutilation. The countries of concern in this reporting circle are Sierra Leone and the Gambia.
805 delegates attended the session, during which the Commission took stock of its relations and cooperation with national human rights institutions and NGOs, and the submission of activity reports by national human rights commissions and NGOs. In accordance with its resolution on the criteria for granting and maintaining affiliate status with national human rights institutions, the Commission granted affiliate status to the Mauritanian's National Mechanism for the Prevention of Torture and to the National Gender and Equality Commission of Kenya. For QTV News, I am Julde Nyai.
Now let's take a look at news beyond our borders. June 20th marks the UN-designated World Refugee Day, dedicated to honoring individuals forced to flee their homelands due to persecution or public unrest. Reporting on the global humanitarian refugee crisis and focusing on the situation in the Gambia, Mamadou Lamin Choi brings the story.
Most refugees in the Gambia originate from Senegal's Casamance region, which has been affected by a long-standing independence conflict since the 1980s. Additionally, during the 1990s, amid civil wars in Liberia and Sierra Leone, the Gambia welcomed a significant number of refugees from these nations. Yusufa J. Gomez is the Executive Director of the Gambia Food and Nutrition Association, which is an implementing partner for the United Nations High Commission for Refugees.
So we have a total of 4,000 plus both refugees and asylum seekers. But for the asylum seekers, I think the number around, they are not very many, around 300, 400 asylum seekers. The rest are refugees. And the majority of those refugees are the Casamance, the ones from Casamance.
Other conflicts across the continent have also forced refugees into the Gambia, including those from the Democratic Republic of Congo, Rwanda and Togo. Last year, some Ivorian refugees chose to return home voluntarily.
Yes, so we help them at least to be able to get something to keep themselves here, take care of their families in terms of their feeding, in terms of their shelter and so on in the urban areas here. But in the rural areas, They are integrated in the communities. They have their own homes, their own shelters. And, they interact. They are sort of integrated in the communities, in the host communities. That's why anything we do, we are not discriminating.
In the early 2000s, the Gambia hosted 5 refugee camps, all of which closed by 2005 as many refugees voluntarily repatriated or resettled in urban areas. The prima facie refugee status for Sierra Leoneans and Liberians concluded with cessation agreements in 2008 and 2012 respectively, marking the end of their entitlement to protection and assistance. In 2008, the Gambia established its Refugee Commission to manage refugee affairs, with Ibrahima Mane serving as one of the commissioners.
There are, criteria and procedures, but all what we ensure at the Commission is to ensure that the basic human rights that are fundamentally, enshrined for every individual in this country are also accorded to the board, like how our normal litigation processes have been, done in this country.
Today, most refugees from Casamas reside in 86 border villages, integrating well with local communities due to shared cultures and livelihood interests. Madeleine Fuala Job, a refugee from the Democratic Republic of Congo, has resided in the Gambia since 2001.
When I came first, it was not easy. First thing, language and the environment. I don't understand who to talk to, but I take it like that. Then I used to it. I make here like my second home. Yeah. My experience is because I used to work. When you are working, you have something, but when you're lazy, it will not be easy for you. Yeah.
Globally, as of the end of 2023, an estimated 117.3 million people were forcibly displaced due to conflict, persecution, and violence. This year, the number is expected to surpass 120 million, underscoring the ongoing crisis driving displacement. Regrettably, refugees, particularly women and children, face increased risks of violence, exploitation, and limited access to essentials such as food and shelter. Societal attitudes towards refugees have become increasingly hostile, influenced by economic challenges, political shifts, and rising populism. Mohamed Lamin, QTV News.
That is all we have time for. Join us at 10 p.m. for another bulletin. Thanks for watching and enjoy the rest of our programs.